Last time on the Goldbergs, we went through the Brett Bodine and Ryan Newman installments, including this humorous clip with Erica's violent tendencies.
The good news is Mom thinks the date is a yearbook meeting. And once we tell her what's really going on, I'm sure she'll panic and cancel.
Which is why you're going to keep your face hole shut.
She's not ready for this.
I think she is, and I just want her to be happy.
Doesn't matter, because you can't stop me from talking to her. Ow! Ow! No fair, I wasn't in my defensive stance.
Swear you want to talk to Mom, or I will crack you in half.
Do what she says. Her eyes are dead.
Fine! I won't say a thing to Mom!
1 week later.
Attention, honky tonkers.
The Goldbergs are saying goodbye.
Wait, what?
Oh, man.
The final episodes this spring on ABC.
Let's go now and leave the rest of these lunatics wanting more.
So if you guys missed my latest installment of Mark's presentations, the Matt Kenseth installment talking about the Goldbergs saying farewell, which confirmed is going to be May 3rd is going to be the last episode, day before the, let me do the math here, the day before the 13-year anniversary of Memorable Dream Day. Go look at that link is in the description, which I think is Preston Arsman's birthday. I mean, his Kevin Harvick 29th birthday as well, because him and his wife, his smoking hot wife, Brianna, are all the same age, except we were born... Well, me and Brianna were born a month apart, and Preston Plays and I were born March, April, 3 months apart in the same year. So, but that's not what this video is all about. So, therefore, we talked about the devastating news, like, this past week about the Goldbergs getting, there's so many words. I can't figure out which one we are. Getting sacked after season 10, no season 11. So after May 3rd, it's all over. So we just got through watching the Ty Dillon-Michael Waltrip installments, and this is going to be my first takeaways video, takeaway style reaction video since the one I did for Warped at this time, almost like last season, second half of last season ago. Look at that, link is in the description. So let's take away things we saw in the third in order. First off, my birthday episode, Moms Need Other Moms. You see, when Moms Need Other Moms, I mean, Erica was getting really fed up about, her, with, Bev's parenting. I get it, Bev's excited to have a grandchild, which in this case it's her granddaughter. But Erica feels like, she can take care of the baby herself, since she's the mom and all Bev is just playing second fiddle as a grandma. And then when Lauren came in there, Erica was obviously taking her side, over her own mom's, and she says she wasn't as good of a mom as she thought, and I know that feeling. There have been times where I've got mad at my mom saying that she wasn't a good mom. It's basically something that, all kids, of all generations, especially my generation, say when they're angry at their parents, they'll just say stuff like they don't mean like they're not a good mother or father, or they hate them just because they're pissed off at them. And I don't do that shit no more. I mean, I don't even... Here's the thing, though. Whenever me and my mom have those problems, or even my grandparents for that matter, it's very rare these days, because when I was younger, it was way more common. But with my dad, I mean, you could probably say, but it's because guys don't live together no more. Well, yeah, that may be true, but at the same time, even if we did still live together, even if my mom and dad were still together, then we would rarely have those problems, because me and my dad used to have, those heated moments too, where we'd, argue back and forth and fight, and we'd get all pissed off at each other and shit, and say things that we don't mean. Even if he was still here, and he didn't move on, and this current chapter where we're at now was if it was the same old, even if it was the same old, like it was from 1989 when my mom and dad first got married, and then 1994, the 22 and a half years that they were together during my lifetime, it would be very rare, because it's part of growing up, as my grandma, speaking of parents or grandparents, would say, it's part of growing up, and problems like that still happen, but not as frequently. The only reason why my dad and I don't have it at all, and my mom is also right, but wrong in a way. I said why, but she's wrong in that sense, but she's also right because me and my dad don't live together, so how is it possible for us to have problems like that even if it is rare with me all being all adultish now. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, it kind of reminds me of when Erica came and apologized later to Bev, saying, it does make her upset, but at least it makes me the luckiest mom slash daughter in the world to make you a wonderful grandmother. See, that's part of what kind of reminds me of what Mixed Dish kind of goes confirmed to me with what my grandfather, the one that's still alive, my mom's dad, has been doing this whole time. You know how he used to take food off my plate, and which I still don't like to this day, but it's not as bad as it once was. But considering back when I was little, I sucked at sharing, and there's some friends I work with that suck at sharing too when it comes to sharing friends and everything. Because at work, we're not allowed to share food or objects or anything, whether it's food or not. But we can share friends. I mean, except the thing is, there are some friends that one particular person at work that has a hard time sharing friends with other people and just gets to wait. It's no problem to get attached to someone as a friend. But if you become over-attached, you just treat them like an object, not a person. That's exactly what has been happening to me. This girl at work, every time I go hang out with someone else just to spice it up, because if I hung out with the same person every time, it would be boring as fuck. And so I've been trying to spice it up, and then she gets starts throwing a fit because she felt like other people are taking her for me, like I'm an object or something. And then we have her mom, and we have, I'm not going to name names because this is going to start drama in the middle of a reaction video a takeaways reaction video of a show. I just watched 3 episodes in a row of. I've been trying to get, the staff even our staff is trying to tell her that he's allowed to have other friends, especially if he has other friends that have known him longer than you have. Because there's a lot of people I know in my work that I've known a long time since pre-COVID. So that's what she has a hard time understanding. So, some people just don't. I've kind of gotten better with sharing, but my point is, when my grandfather used to tease me and shit. Sure, when I was younger, it was different, where my mom and my grandmother would stick up for me saying, Louie, no teasing. But it's a lot different now. Now that we're older, even when in my early 20s, I was more relaxed, but the uptight version from me of Lenore and Sanders was still there. Not as, and still kind of in physical form, but not fully physical form. Part physical form, not full physical form. I would take my grandfather seriously when he would just joke around with me. But then, if you remember that one episode of Mixed Dish, go look at that link in the description where when I did it in real time and my grandmother tried to record it, she didn't do it. She didn't hold the camera well, and it came out bad. And so when we had to redo it and have someone else record it, then. Like my mom, because grandma has shaking hands because she has Parkinson's, so she can, of course, her hand was blocking the camera, so that's why it turned out bad. But basically, the point is, that when I told my grandfather about this Mixed Dish episode, he started crying happy tears, and because I told him what this episode of Mixed. This was 2 years ago. It was a life lesson from Mixed Dish, so a show that I sadly never got to finish, where. Rainbow's dad, also has a dad, which is the grandfather, Harrison, played the guy who played Ricky Bobby's dad in Talladega Nights. So, Harrison was teasing, his son, which is Rainbow's dad, if y'all remember. And, Rainbow's dad would take it seriously until at the end, Harrison told him, I get it's why you react that way when I tease you, but it's not my intention to get you mad. Like when I do it, it's just my way of saying I love you without actually saying I love. See, now I realize I still kind of do it a little bit, but not as much, because Mixed Dish kind of like died that down for me. Where I realize now whenever my grandfather teases me like that, even though I still take it seriously, not as much, Hey, even when I do take it seriously, now I'm fully aware that he doesn't do the shit to get me mad intentionally, because families don't do that unless they're toxic family members. Which luckily, nobody here in this house is a toxic family member, but they don't just do it to get you mad. He just doesn't do it to get me mad. No, I mean, even as a kid, it was the same way, but I didn't understand that at the time because I was little. And when you're a kid, you understand stuff. He's been doing it this whole time just to say I love you without saying I love you. I'm pretty sure if my other grandfather, my father's dad, were alive to like see me grow up, he probably would have done the same thing, because that's what fathers and grandfathers do. Mothers and grandmothers don't do it as much, but you know what I mean. But yeah, the subplot I think was oh, yeah, wait. What was the subplot? Jesus Christ. It's the JTP. I'm going to miss the JTP when they go and the show goes away. Because, Matt Bush followed me on Instagram. I always, tag Shane Top in my shit, on TikTok, and whenever I do the post reaction on my second account. But yeah, I mean, Barry was, Adam was looking to get Barry out of his apartment. So this subplot was like a three episode, mini storyline, like a storyline, like, How Live and La Vida Lab Rats had a mini 3-episode storyline, with Taken, and then, 3 Minus Bree, in which Father Knows Best, because, Tevs will remember, Taken was the first Lab Rats episode where Douglas was no longer the bad guy. It was actually not evil anymore, because he actually saved Adam, Mrs. Oliveras, and Chase from Crane, even though Mr. Davenport was unaware of what was going on and thought, Douglas was the one behind that scheme in that episode. And then Chase tried to convince him, no, he actually did something good, but, Mr. Davenport didn't know everything behind it. Yeah, and then 3 Minus Bree was my wife, Mrs. Oliveras, Bree, gnashing her chip because she wanted a life outside of being bionic, which it was working in the beginning, but then it backfired because there was a mission that took twice as long. Because her super speed would have created a vortex that would have put her to fire at a chemical plant. And, it could have caused, her brothers, or even let alone my brothers-in-law, Adam and Chase, their life. And then Bree realized Bree realized what she did wrong and admitted her mistake and just wanted to be back on the team. And Mrs. Davenport said, oh, I'm more than welcome to put you back, but I don't know if I can do that. And as much as I would love to, I'm not the one who created your chip or your brother's chips. My brother, the one who I still think is bad, did, but since it's so damaged so badly, I don't know if I can duplicate it. But then which Father Knows Best showed that he couldn't duplicate it, but he was able to replicate with the chip fabricator that Adam used to always almost calls that ice cream maker. What the fuck? A microwave. To get them all hyper, and then Bree was glitching up a storm until, Mr. Davenport had nothing to do with Douglas, if y'all remember. And I can't believe I'm talking about making a Lab Rats comparison in a Goldberg video. And so when Leo knew what to do. Like, Leo knew that Douglas was the only hope, and even Chase said it too. And so Mr. Davenport had no choice but to have work with Douglas, and then they were doing this competing, and then when I finally got Bree under control, Mr. Davenport still didn't want anything to do with them. And then even Adam, Mrs. Oliveras, and Jason, he's changed. Give him a chance. He saved our lives 2 or 3 times. This isn't fair the way you're treating him, since your own brother, since he actually changed for the better. Douglas felt like at first he was right. Maybe he was, but then when Mr. Davenport said that everyone deserves second chances, he got one, and then he was like, okay, you gave me a second chance, but what about your brother? And they went all the way to go recruit him, and then Mr. Davenport said, you can come rejoin the family if you apologize to us first. And he did, and that's how Douglas became good. It's the same thing in my fanfics when Bionic Rebellion, Lexi, and was a bad character with Sebastian and Tank. Well, we we just loved Marisa Cuevas so much to the point where when we wrote the Live and Love Eat Lavish and Mark and Bree love story, we decided to make Lexi a good guy the same way, Chris and Brian in The Real Show made Douglas a good guy. Apologizing to Bree and her family for trying to hurt them and trying to cost her family and their loved ones their lives in Bionic Rebellion. And goes to show you that people can change. People can change, and for the better. Some do change, but people can change for the better as they get older. And, they can mend broken relationships that they had when they were younger. Like, considering, Sebastian and Tank were still assholes and never changed in my fanfics. Well, Lexi had a change of heart. Well, me and Morgan Milhone, a girl I hated in high school because the way she treated me as a sophomore, we mended our broken relationship during the COVID. That's part of how COVID changed me. It helped me mend broken relationships I had with people when I was younger. And now Morgan Milho and I are not really the best of friends, but we're good friends now because we put all that petty high school shit behind us. So therefore, the JTP, I can't remember what the fuck I was saying. Okay, the subplot was a good episode. Then we started talking about lab rats. So I'm sorry if I went off topic in terms of changing the topic of the show. But yeah, 3-episode storyline. So Barry was trying to impress the JTP and with this Paul how Barry crushes the medical field and Adam crushes the theater. And they were doing doing all these things that weren't working. His dingling winky was shown. Luckily, since it's TV 14, they had to censor it, considering, I'm not even gonna go there. Like, oh my hot damn. And then the meat suit came, and then the dog just went to go to town on that shit. And everybody else hated it, but the JTP loved it. And so it was basically Barry trying to convince them to let him live with his old buddies. And they thought they were having that fresh lunch meat from the store, and then they realized they got when I think Andy Cogan is Matt Bush. When Andy Cogan, had something stuck in his tooth, he thought it was a piece of voodoo. It was a button, and it was from the costume, and it was all Jeremy Mayfield. And they said, "Are we good? Can I live with you now?" And the answer was still no, and I don't blame them. So let's go over the Larry Foyt installment. Featuring the king of smoking and who drove that number 14 after he left his iconic number 20 Home Depot Pontiac Grand Prix for Joe Gibbs race because he didn't want to drive for Toyota because he wanted to stay loyal to General Motors. But like I said, people change for the better. Now that Tony Stewart's older and has been out of the driver's seat since 2016, I don't think he cares now, considering Stewart Haas runs Fords now. So featuring the king of smoking it himself for how I was associated with Joe Gibbs Racing. So anyway, the Larry Foyt installment. So Adam and Carmen, and then this kind of reminds me of when I was with Margaret last year about how, let me tell you what I mean before I make the comparison to my real life relation. So Adam was, growing, proving that, I killed his mom. I got to grow up at some time and, have other women to rely on, but besides you and, how sons and grandsons have to grow up eventually, and then they start getting into other women that can rely on them. That's like their girlfriend. Hopefully, can one day can turn into wife. They have someone other than the mom or grandma until their mom and grandma go to heaven or something like that. But. And therefore, when Carmen was on that date with another man, I got scared that Adam was going to lose him. And the thing is, this is something, I've been taught from my mom. You have to be exclusive to somebody before you can, for sure, know you're going to be in the relationship with someone. So when Carmen was on that date with that other guy, she wasn't exclusive to Adam yet, so Adam was in the clear. It was because... And this is why she drew the line of being casual for the beginning, and she was really aware of the fact that he liked her. But the reason why they didn't go that far yet because she wanted time to heal from just getting out of a relationship. So therefore, once she had enough time, then maybe then they could just go exclusive. Go exclusive. And so Adam showed up to her window with that stool, and didn't do that kid stuff that he would climb, get a ladder and climb up the balcony and up through the girl's bedroom window. That's also part of growing up too. But it's part of what my grandma says. Part of growing up, and so therefore, Adam feared the worst that Carmen was not going to accept him, and then she returned the favor coming to his window. But unlike her, he actually came down. So it's like, and then she revealed her truth, and then they said, "Yeah, I know you're not going to hurt me like the other guys did, and we can be boyfriend girlfriend all of a sudden." They shared a kiss in the front yard. See, this is where the takeaway comes from when Adam said to Beverly that, I have to grow up as something, which proved that sons and daughters do have to grow up as sons, to the point where they don't need mom, dad, or grandma and grandpa to worry about everything for them, to the point where, and no truth, like Scorpion taught us this shit too. They can worry about shit on their own when they get older, even though, to be fair, Violet was actually 13 when Juan Carlos said this, but still, he's not wrong. When they get older, let them worry about stuff on their own because they're growing up, and to the point where, they have to care for themselves from point time to time. Not everything has to be, all in mom, dad, or grandma and grandpa's control, like it was when they were kids. But yeah, that's when I was with Margaret last year. I felt the same thing, and I haven't felt this way with Razel yet. Oh yeah, speaking of Razel, the 28th, which is my Willow's birthday. So November, December, March, 4 months since we've been together. Even though I need to pick up the pace on when I post about this shit. So, oh my god, I don't know why she hasn't called me lately. Like, he calls me one time, and then after that one time, one night we talk, we go a long ass flight without talking. I was like, what the fuck's going? But anyway, I don't want to talk about my girlfriend problems, but the one I had last year, Margaret, when I was with her last year, every time I came home from getting a haircut, and my dad would always take me to see Cousin Kenny, like you always see on YouTube most of the time, and especially TikTok, or my mom my grandmother would ask to feel my head, after I shaved it. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's Margaret's job. And I think there was another night where I was cooking something in the air fryer, and I think my mom was like, I can't remember what she said. But I don't know if it was feeling my my shaved head, or doing something, that, I could let my mom and grandmother do when I was younger. But it was something similar to that. And I said, nope, that's Margaret's job. And my mom and grandmother were looking at each other and said, man, what? Is he picking Margaret over us? And then my mom came to realize, well, he's grown up now to the point where he can rely on other women to do all the shit that we used to do when he was younger. And I'm glad my mom took time. I don't remember what that second one was about, but it was fucking funny, but also relatable to the situation. And then the subplot was, okay, now I remember the subplot. So Erica and Jeff thought, Barry was, cheating, having an affair with, getting back together with Lainey behind Joanne's back. And a shout out to Beth Triffin, who replied to my with that really generous comment saying she's going to miss my commentary. And I'm going to bringing this commentary to her and all of you at that show. I hope Beth can give me a follow on Twitter and TikTok too. So if she good for where she even watches this whole damn thing. But therefore, this whole time, Erica was looking out for her best friend, and this whole time, Barry and Bill were watching random sports, which is something because they were both missing someone, and they were both, Barry was missing his dad, and Bill was missing, also missing the same person that was his best friend, Merman. At first I'm thinking, who's Merman? And Murray, they're the same person. So therefore they were just giving each other an excuse to, spend time together since, Murray is in the show, Murray's deceased, but in reality, it was because of the drama with Jeff Garland that we're not going to get into on the interwebs, especially when I make these reaction videos for the Goldbergs. This case, a takeaways reaction video. So, therefore, you know, I'm glad Erica was looking out for Lainey, and she said, even if that was the case, you'd be the first to know. You see, that's a thing. I can relate to that in a way. I would never hide anything serious from my mom, my grandparents. Going, if something serious happened to me, whether it be at work or in the neighborhood, I'd tell them right away. Or unless it's something that, if I have a problem with one of my friends, like 3 years ago during the Father's Day Aaron's Dream Weekend explosion, I had a problem with one of my real life friends, but I knew it could be I knew it was repairable, and that we couldn't stay mad at each other forever. Because we talked about this in a video the other day, that so that we're older. I think I talked about this in the Thursday video, how compared to Sandhurst, I talked about this in the presentations video. Go look at that link in the description. I said, when my current, Sandy Ridge and Ridgeville friends were younger, we used to tease each other about our friends of the opposite gender. But if we had a problem, like an incident, it was always be minor. It was the drama never had to come into it. We'd give each other a minimum of a day or two to distance ourselves and, gather our thoughts, or maximum of a week. And then we come together and talk it out like real men and women. Well, that happened to me with another real life friend, 3 years ago during the Father's Day Aaron's Dream Weekend at Talladega explosion. We had kind of a minor incident, it looked like our parents and families didn't have to get involved to the point where they have to talk amongst themselves for us. So therefore, I think I went to stay with my dad that same weekend. And then when I came back, I kind of distanced myself even further, from longer, and then I think sometime in July, I can't even fucking remember when this happened. Guess what? It was around the time the NBA was announced they were going to finish the 2019-2020 season in the bubble. This one kid and I, we worked it out and talked it out like a real men and boys. We talked about, I can't remember, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh my god. Okay, now I remember what I was talking about. You see, that's the only time I wouldn't tell my family. If I know if me and my friends have an incident, that's minor and it has nothing, it didn't cause any major drama, and our families didn't have to get involved. I know we can work it out and fix it. So that's why I really don't. But if it's something beyond that point, then of course I would still tell them. And luckily, since we moved here in 2015, it never has had to come to that. It never has. So therefore, that's why Lainey said I would tell you if something was going on, because you're my best friend. And Erica's like, thanks, Lainey, you're my bestie. So let's get into the Michael Waltrip installment, The Crush. So for every plot of an episode of a television show will always be a subplot that barely gets talked about, except for diehard fans like me that pay close attention to this stuff. So the main plot we'll discuss first. So Beverly, it was hard, starting over is hard when it comes to romantic relationships, because she just lost her husband because the actor who played him got fired. So they had and of course, Wendy McClendon-Covey said on Twitter when she told they didn't want to rewrite the whole season during last year, since it was already too late. So they had still fit him in a way without actually writing him off so damn early, which makes me wonder, when we do That Girl Lele sometime tomorrow night, what are they going to do with Pastor Brown? How are they going to write him out of the series? Since the late David A. Arnold played him, the creator of the show, who went to be with God on September 7th. So how are they going to write Pastor? And then they can't really kill him off, because That Girl Lele, again, I'm talking it under the show. I'm show jumping again. First Lab Rat, now That Girl Lele. That girl, to be fair, Lab Rat, there's a lot of shows on Nick and Disney that killed off a lot of characters. But That Girl Lately is not a really show that centers around drama, like an exciting drama like Lab Rats did. So I don't know what they're gonna do with Pastor Brown. We'll just have to. We'll talk about that more in tomorrow's That Girl Lately reaction video. But anyway, so yeah, she was starting over, with the romance, and she wouldn't stop talking about Joe, and I can relate to that too. You see, when I met Margaret, and when I was still at Triad last season, at 2021-22, the first half of 21-22 season, this Margaret girl, Margaret Firestone was my girlfriend before Brazel was. When I was still at Triad, Margaret was at ViaQuest. So I went to put my lunchbox away like a normal person in the Triad lounge, and Margaret happened to make eye contact with me, and she just made all this random noise like she liked me or something. Even though someone else was with her, she just ended up. She could have made that noise at him too, but she turned her back from him and started focusing on me. Started focusing on me. I know. And also not only that, she was getting all this hype as the new person that was starting in the building for the first time, trying to get used to it all. Of course, as y'all know that story from last year. For those who were with me last year on my social media, I came home because she only came 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I came home twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday, just constantly talking about Margaret over and over and over and over. So that means I got attracted to her and fell out of love with that shall not be named. So, therefore, that's another thing from the previous episode we just go over. I wasn't exclusive to Margaret, so because I was in a relationship, but I was falling out of love with that relationship. So without having it, because if I was to start getting exclusive to Margaret while I was with the devil, I would have been cheating. But that's why before I got exclusive to Margaret, I decided to. That's because I ignored that bitch for a week because of it. And then when I finally got back, when I finally answered the call, that's when I broke up with her over the phone, November 2nd, 2021. After I hung up, I just said, Margaret, here I come. And we finally became a thing December 21st, 2021. Right before, right after that Kevin Daniels birthday tribute. And, of course, right before that Christmas Eve video at Johnny and Eva's, Oh my! When it was supposed to be a Ricky Martin, David Robinson 50th birthday jam session, until my dad at the last minute wanted to plan something with the Oliverises and bring me along. Where I was awoken from a really good dream by my mom, because my dad called my mom at work saying, he's been mentioning me, and So to say, call Mark because I'm on my way to pick him up. And I didn't realize what was going on. And then my phone rang, and I was groggy beyond belief. I said, hello. And hurry, Mark, get up. Your dad's coming. He's going to take you out to for Christmas Eve. Oh, shit. I really jumped up. Remember, that was the Jeff Gordon installment of the 25 Days of Christmas Eve of 2021, which I'm not going to bring that up as a shout out, but so therefore I got to check how. So that's exactly the same thing that was happening with Bev. She did not want to admit that she had a crush on this Joe guy, and even though Erica was trying to tell her that you have a crush on him, even though you don't want to admit it. And then she brought Jeff and the baby in to Muriel in to prove her right, and so go out there and make your move. And when she did, and she thought that Joe was going to ask her out to the formal, she ended up asking Andrea instead, and that's what you think it was all over for Bev, right? No. And then, of course, the jealousy trick with Jeff and everything. And when they got to the dance, Bev thought the plan would work, saying, I'm going to bring, Coach Nick over here and make Joe jealous. And that plan wasn't even working, and it looked like it was going to work when she tricked Andrea into going outside of the parking lot with their car. The thing that think the bunch of teenagers are gonna flip it over, which really that wasn't the case. And then Joe's like, "What the hell's going on, Bev? Tell me." And then she said she spilled the bean. "I like you," and it just record screech stopped the music. And she just ran out there all upset, and I don't blame her. And Erica came to her assistance, and therefore, just when we thought it was all over, here comes Joe out saying, I, as much as I appreciated Andrea, she got too wasted and I was laying on top of her car. That was a little too much. I prefer your company. And now I get it. Starting over is, especially when you're married to someone and then your husband or wife passes away and then you want to start over again. I mean, some people do that, and I guess sometimes, that proves that every family is different, whether it's TV or real life. Sometimes, the kids want to see their parents happy. They want to see their parents happy once they're like, other parent, divorces them or passes away, and that's what Erica wanted for Beverly, to be happy. You see, ever since my mom and dad split up, I mean, my dad has new happiness right now. Now, my mom hasn't found anyone, but I want her to, so she can actually be happy. But I guess every parent is different, because after my Willow died less than a year before my birth, his wife, my other grandmother, who died when I was 15 in '09, the same day as Michael Jackson and Farrah Fawcett, which, I couldn't really mourn her in peace because everybody wouldn't shut the fuck up about those two, especially MJ, which I understand, because Michael Jackson, even though he's no longer here, he's still popular, being talked about with his music played. The only song I even care about of his, if anything, is Human Nature, because of Smooth Jazz V 98.7, WVMV FM Detroit, and 107.3 The Wave, WNWV Elyria Cleveland, WNWV FM Elyria Cleveland. But anyway, so after my other grandfather died, my Wella began dating another man, and I guess unlike me because for me, unlike me, where I said, I don't care who my mom and dad are with in my current life, as long as they're new partners who are with my stepmom, with my dad, and whoever my mom finds next, as long as they're treating my parents right, I'm happy. But I guess my dad did not want that for his mom, which is my other grandmother. Neither did, I don't know how, Deal Robert never said anything about it, but when my titi Nancy was talking about it during the Easter Bunny 500 in 2021, the last year when NASCAR didn't race on Easter like they had been since even before I got to NASCAR, and, it had always been, both before my time as a NASCAR fan and during my whole time as a NASCAR fan, when they introduced the Easter Bunny 500 dirt race last Easter, my titi Nancy did not like that at all. Considering, I remember my mom was telling me months after titi Nancy told her side of that story, how, people were coming over to her house, house, to see how she was feeling after losing her husband. And then here was another guy in her house, because she started dating again. titi Nancy was really, really hurt. Was really hurt by that. It was already hurt enough losing her dad, but then she was hurt even more that she dated another guy because it just didn't feel the same vibe as, her dad did. And then my dad was so angry with her to the point where he didn't want to talk to her for a week. Or I think my mom said my dad didn't want to talk to her for a week, but it had to be more than that. But still, obviously that didn't last, as we know, because we never knew that guy, and we probably never really, he most likely is in heaven too. So yeah, that's crazy shit. So therefore, Erica wanted Bev to be happy, and she only got, hopefully her and Joe go places before the show comes to an end on May 3rd. And then when she got back, that ending sequence was funny, where it's like the reversal of fortune. Is like Erica became her Bev's mom, and where Bev became Erica's daughter. And then at the end, she got a twisted thing. Okay, fine. Tell me how everything with Joe went, because they went to get ice cream after the dance. Now the last thing I'm going to talk about before we wrap this up, because I'm going to have a light dinner, because I don't have time to use the air fryer and shit, and I was going to have my leftover Popeyes fries, but it doesn't matter how early or late I go to bed. We don't have that appointment until 11:20, 11:30, so we're going to get bailed out tomorrow, so we have all day to catch up on the Not Dead Yet, A Million Little Things, and then of course the Nickelodeon Disney Channel triple header. So Barry, made the stupid mistake and fucking up, saying, John Calabasas, offer him a new home, and he did take the offer, but he didn't really consult Joanne with it first. He didn't really consult with Joanne first, and then he tried to cover it up to make it seem like he picked it out, and was ready to move in with her. And when they went to check, she believed her too. She believed him too. It's like the boy who cried wolf. And so when we went to check out the place, Joanne, of course, obviously didn't like that. Neither would I, because I remember this is the last takeaway part of this reaction video. I remember my grandparents owned Sandhurst. I liked it for nostalgia purposes, but they never got rid of anything or updated it. And everything looks so old and gross. I mean, I know that was not the intent they were going for or whatever. But it's like whenever I ate something. I mean, drinking something was no problem. But whenever I ate something, even if for something really good, I was too scared to I had to put it on a napkin or a plate this whole time, like a paper plate at least, because I didn't want to put. I mean, unless it was a jumbo-sized meal, to find a regular plate, but I didn't want to put something if it was something major, then find a regular plate before. But I didn't want to put something minor on a regular dish plate or on the desk, because I was afraid, it would not make the food taste good. It would get some nasty debris in it. So I can relate. I mean, it was good for nostalgia purposes, but it's something about Mom and Papa's design, my grandparents' design. That's what I call my mom's parents, Mama and Papa, my grandma and my grandma. Something about their design in the inside of that Sandhurst house kind of really rubbed me off the wrong way, big time. And I'm glad we changed it when me and my parents and sister moved into it in April 2010. It's like, wow, that needed to be worked on a lot. So yeah, I don't blame Joanne for feeling that way. And then when John Calabasas had to confess to her for Barry, Beth was livid, and I don't blame her. And then when she saw the flyer saying that I appreciate this gesture, but this kind of fire that you're bringing is not going to fix it. But then Barry proved her wrong. He added a second flyer saying an idiot boyfriend who fucked up bad. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but that's how he meant it. Even if he did, they have to censor it because the bombs. People have to the ABC honchos have to bleep out to keep it TV-14, and then. Of course, Joanne forgave him, but I always get the character and actor mixed up. Like, goddamn, Joanne forgave him, but just wanted to get Barry some medical attention because the staple gun was caught in his hand. It was bleeding all over the place. If you lose too much, if you lose enough blood, you can become lightheaded and pass out. But if you lose too much blood and that shit doesn't stop bleeding at all, you die. I don't know if that was real blood, but if it was, then they did a damn good job of faking it, making it look so real. And that concludes this takeaway video for the Ty Dillon-Michael Waltrip installments of the Goldbergs. So as far as the Goldbergs goes, we're back in the game. So tomorrow, everything else that we missed will be caught up on for sure. Even though by the time this is uploaded, it'll already be in the start of Saturday. So we to start off the day, we're gonna do Not Dead Yet, the Rusty Wallace and Dale Sr. Austin Dillon installment. And then to close out the day of binge watching, the day portion of binge watching, we're going to do the Dale Sr., Austin Dillon, and Mike Skinner installments of A Million Little Things. And it's going to be a spicer because we're either going to do Cup of Life or Living La Vida Loca as our weekly Ricky Martin performance for A Million Little Things. The season 5 being the final season, since we didn't do one, and for the Rusty Wallace installment, and because of the fact that it was my Kevin Harvick 29th birthday, so in honor of my birthday, I wanted to rest myself after that historic night in the neighborhood, which you want to go check out, link in the description. And then we're gonna eat and drink up after we do the ABC doubles. We're going to relax, watch some other YouTubers do their thing, and then sometime early tomorrow night, we're going to do some Nickelodeon Disney Channel binge watching. We're going to do I feel like we're gonna do That Girl Lele first. There's only 3 episodes. We're gonna finish The Really Loud House. And then, we're going to do Bunked after that, because Bunked is going to have a special intro promoting the next episode, the Bobby Labonte installment of my presentation series, talking about season 7. And then there was another episode of my presentation series that I think I was going to do. But I'm gonna address that in one of the action videos for tomorrow, because I don't have time. And oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So we had every single recent Bunked episode we missed on the DVR, except for the Bobby Labonte installment, The Wicked Witch of the West, because my dumbass forgot to DVR the actual airing, and when it actually aired the rerun, it didn't come with the category that had that listed the show under its season 6 title, Bunked Learning the Ropes. It listed it as its original title, so it was separate, so I had to delete it. But there was no new other airing of the Bobby Labonte installment, so I checked on demand. It's on demand, so we'll watch every episode that we missed of Bunked on the DVR, except for Bobby Labonte, the 18th episode, because we're going to watch it on demand. Luckily, Disney Channel on demand now lets you fast forward. So I will tell you, you will find out the installments of the other shows tomorrow, technically later today. But I want to check and see what installments of Bunked we're going to go through to knock this out. We're going to go from Ty Dillon through Jeremy Mayfield. Bobby Labonte will be on demand, since I forgot to record the original Friday airing that day. So have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Life will give you a lot of lows, but when you hit a high, enjoy it. It ain't for the weak. Goddamn, pace yourself, bring your ass, be you. You have to try harder to do less. You can't deport a dream. Sometimes the worst things in life lead to the best things. Always been on the side of love. You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Sometimes you just got to be present. You never fail until you stop trying, and never pays to worry too much about things. It's never too late to turn the day around. Another day on time, another day to shine. Sometimes you just got to flock yourself, trust your instincts, stand up for yourself, not back down to anyone. All for one, one for all. She love that different. You gotta bounce. Just when you think things will never be okay again, here comes a miracle that proves you way wrong. Take care, everyone. Good night. And even though it's technically Saturday already, and we got a long day ahead of ourselves. And then don't forget, we might sneak in one last cooking video if my grandmother can find the pesto before, sometime this week. But it'll most likely be Monday or Tuesday. We'll record and or release it. But just keep in mind, this Winter Wonderland Season 2 finale, which is going to be a 2-day special, is actually going to be a vlog style real time documentary. It's going to be something special. It's going to be like a finale like no other. It's going to be a 2-day special. It's going to be a vlog-style documentary. Anyway, I need to get the fuck out of here so I can, eat something, drink something to wash my mouth, and get my ass to bed to prepare for a long, adventurous day tomorrow, technically later on today. So, see you later, everyone.